Today is a collab with Nona from Mysocalledlife1977. We are collabing to bring awareness to invisible illness. I will link Nona's channel in the cards and in the box below. Actually, the cards are over there. I do that every single time. Even though I'm left-handed, it makes no sense. I will link her channel below and in the cards. And we wanted to bring awareness to invisible illness and the idea that people assume whatever is the... I'm just going to say their belief of what you're going through is actually what you're going through, instead of listening to you or just taking it with a grain of salt, that they don't have to know everything. There's no need to, you know, harp and decide for someone else what they're going through. So we want to bring awareness to that issue. I hope that you will check out Nona's channel. She does a great job. I said it in the other two videos, but Nona is just really sweet, and it's very hard to have your full personality come across on YouTube videos and things like that. However, she does an amazing job, and she just really is just a really kind individual. She's been very sweet and considerate to me. Not just considerate, she's been supportive of me, and I appreciate her and love her to pieces. So we are reviewing the e.l.f. shadows, and again, I'm doing truffles, and let's get into that review. Okay, so today is the third installment of the collab with Mysocalledlife1977 and I for the e.l.f. bite-sized shadows. This is to bring awareness to invisible illness, and the title of it is You Don't Look Sick, and it's the ways that people can try to identify what you are, and because you don't have obvious signs, an example I use is like a broken leg or a wheelchair, then you must not have illness or issues. So today I'm going to be reviewing truffles. It does look like this. This is probably, I think, the smokiest one that's there of the 8. And I have not tried this one yet. It does look like that. So I did prime my eye with the Juvia's Place concealer, and I set it with the Maybelline Fit Me. I am working on a drugstore video, and so I wanted to use all drugstore products with this. So I'm going to start just by putting a transition shade in my crease. So one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is not everything is physical. There's also emotional that can be bothering people and can be not as transparent or obvious. But there are also physical issues that aren't visible to the naked eye but are serious as far as pain and issues. I have something that is called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which affects my entire nervous system, how I react to things. It also causes issues within my system. A lot of doctors refer to it as a hyperelasticity disease or connective tissue disease, but it causes my joints to have more stretch than they should. It causes my ligaments to have more stretches than they could. But then there's also ways that it affects my organs and things like that. And then, like I always tell my kids, I just have bum genes. I also have a kidney disorder and some other things. So it's really important that people understand that most diseases don't have obvious, you know, it's not like if you look at measles or smallpox where there's a rash. There's a lot of diseases out there that don't, but affects people's daily lives. My kidney disease was diagnosed really late. I was diagnosed actually both Ehlers-Danlos and my kidney disease, which is medullary sponge kidney disease. I was diagnosed at 40, I believe I was. I think I just turned 40 at Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland, Ohio. And the only way they really detect it is symptoms, and if there's like this certain result on an x-ray or an ultrasound, like I think it's ultrasound actually, not x-ray, but it does like this echoing effect, and that's how they figure it out. But I've had kidney issues my entire life. I remember as a kid driving from Michigan to Mississippi, where all my family's from, and I would get bladder and kidney infections every single time from sitting in the car and not going to the bathroom as often, and I would have like bleeding kidney infections. So it was one of those things that my mom kept taking me to doctor to try to kind of figure it out. And finally they just said, you know, don't let her drink pop on these trips, only let her drink water. That will flush out her system. And once my mom did that, I was better. But even as an adult, every pregnancy, I had serious bladder infections, like to the point that I had preterm labor. I mean, I've always had problems. So one of the things that this disorder does is I have to be careful between lupus and that disorder. I can end up with kidney stones, which the sponge medullary kidney causes, and then, or it just makes your system more susceptible to. But I also, because of lupus, I have to be careful that my kidneys aren't attacked. So they have removed me from ibuprofen products entirely, and then they have me limit any type of prescription drug that could affect my system. So I just want to stop for a second and point out, this is blending really well. Like this, I'm talking and not even paying that close of attention, and it's just really blending super well. So I'm going to do kind of a smokier look today. There, I think that's good. Another thing I wanted to say about invisible illness or things that people are going through is sometimes the variances can make people mislead that they're healthier than they are, or faking it till you make it. You know you're not healthy, you know you're miserable, you know you'd rather be sitting down, but you give somebody else your seat because you don't want to look weak. I did that for years. I still do it sometimes. I catch myself doing it. I just did it in January, February. I was at a doctor's office and it was really full, and I gave my seat to someone who was definitely in worse shape than I was. I mean, that was like the polite thing to do, but after I did it, I started having like dizzy spells and things like that, and which goes back to a disorder, the Ehlers-Danlos and some other things. But I didn't even think about, I am taking this deeper shade. I'm going to deepen out my crease and my corner here, my outer corner. But I didn't even think about it. Like, to me, it was just no brainer to give my seat to that person. And then when I started having issues, someone sitting across from her actually gave me their seat. And I felt weird taking it, like I shouldn't. And the gentleman actually insisted. It was actually, he was really just a nice person. But I find myself wanting to do more than I should. And then I pay for like 3 days afterward. But so sometimes you might know somebody and you might say, oh, I've seen them at the gym. They work their butt off. They do well. But that might be that they were feeling well that day. Or it could have been that their disorder was, or their disease wasn't active then. So it's really important to just have patience with people and understand and just get that not everybody's experiencing the same thing that you are. And I think that's really important. So again, this is the best deep color I've seen of these shadows that I've done so far. Matte. This actually is like really deep, and it also just really blended really well. It didn't blend away the other color. It just looks really good. I do want to get, I just tapped off the powder from the brush I used to set my eye. I'm just kind of blending up here. I want to blend it out a little bit towards the top here. I'm going to put highlighter probably here instead of the actual shimmer shade that's in this, because it's really a true shimmer. So I don't want to put that on my upper eye. So I'm going to use a different shade that's not in this palette when I finish my eye makeup. And again, just doing the outer corner. I like the transition between stippling and the windshield wiper. Cannot talk today. Windshield wiper motion. So that way I get a lot of product on there, but then I can just work out the product that I have. I don't have to keep adding. Much like the other one, I'm not going to use this deepest shade until after I do my actual shimmer shade. I am going to put just a touch, and I'm going to kind of do a half cut crease. I wipe it off as much of the concealer as much as I can, and then I dab here and then wipe it and then touch my eye, because I just need the smallest amounts. For a half cut crease, you don't need a lot. And then I have a flat concealer brush. And I am just slowly spreading that out and blending it. I do my eye makeup first, so that way when I do my shimmer, if any fallout, it doesn't really matter because I'm not going to mess anything up. And then I want to look and make sure they match. They're doing the same thing. That's another reason it's good to have that on the back of your hand, because you don't have to re-dip into the concealer. You can just grab it off the back of your hand. So now I'm going to grab a very fine flat brush. I am going to spray it. This is the Morphe Illuminating Spray. Let's spray that. And again, like I said in my other videos, I do take it and just kind of wipe off some of the moisture so it's not soaking wet. And I'm just dipping into this shimmer shade. I'm going to dip back into that deeper shade And just bring it back in with this just a little bit to kind of hook them together. Okay, now I want to go into that really deep color. This actually reminds me of, it's like a brown sparkle shade. It's like it looks like it's a matte with sparkles in it. This reminds me of the dark color that was in, was it the first palette? I think it was the first palette had that. And that would have been the Carnival Candy. Okay, this is just an Anastasia double-ended brush. I'm just going in with the flat side because I want to add some definition over here. Smoke it out a little bit. Going mainly by the lash line. I am having the same problems I had with that one. They might even be the same shade, to be honest, because it's mimicking it entirely. So I wanted it to only kind of be like this, but as soon as I went out here, it wouldn't blend well, so I did have to kind of bring it up a little bit. So it definitely is a stubborn shade, and it wipes away really easy. Like, the outside's really dark, but this inside I keep having to pack because it keeps wiping away. Okay, I want to see if I use that brown shade, if I can kind of bring these in more. Have it transition a little bit. Not my favorite thing I've ever done, but it's good. I think it'll look better once I have all my makeup on with it. I think it will look a lot better. And again, every time I touch this outer shade, it just wipes away. So that's definitely not my favorite. In both palettes, I struggle with it. So I'm going to go finish my other eye as well as my makeup, and I will come back and give you my final thoughts. So this is the final look with foundation, everything. This is all drugstore. So I like how it came out. There's definitely some things I would change, but I haven't used these products in quite some time, and so I'm okay with it. I'm not going anywhere that I need to have my makeup done. It just was, you know, for this. So this eyeshadow palette. Okay, first of all, I think it does a great job of smoking out. I think the shimmer shade is 5-star. I mean, it is amazing. However, just like I believe it was the Carnival Candy had a black sparkly shade in it, this shade right here does not work well. It might even be the same shade. It has a lot of the same problems, and they both are black. Like, they're not shimmers, they're black that have like some reflective in them. And for this one, every time I try to blend it, it would blend away and blend away. The only way I got it to work is to use this deep chocolate shade on the places that this blended away, and that created kind of the smoke. Now, I'm not a big smoky eye person. I don't do them all the time. I'm sure there's some things I could improve here. However, I want to just review it. So let's just go from my left to my right. This shade right here, the shimmer, is absolutely fantastic. I mean, it definitely compares with luxury brands. It's absolutely fantastic. Same with this one. Blends perfectly, have no issues. I mean, it really blended out amazing. You could see it right on camera. This one had minor patchiness, nothing that you couldn't solve by building it up or packing the color on. This one, I think I've spent enough time hatching it. It just didn't work well. I would probably grab a color from another palette to use here. So, in fact, CoverGirl has a great chocolate palette that has beautiful blacks and browns in it, and so I think that would be a great comparison palette being in the drugstore genre. So I hope that you will check out Nona's channel. I hope that you will like, subscribe, and ring the bell on both of our channels. And if you wouldn't mind posting down below what is your favorite drugstore product overall. Like, if you could only pick one, what would you pick? And I hope that I see you again soon.